Hello and welcome to Let's Talk. Today on the show we have Glen.
Hiya.
And we're talking about Date of Infamy. It's in early access, so this won't be a review, because you can't review games that aren't technically out. So without further ado, let's talk. So, Glen, just a basic question, what would you say Day of Infamy is? What type of game?
Well, it's a Second World War first-person tactical shooter, I guess.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's how I describe it.
You know, obviously World War II, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
It's made by the same guys that do Insurgency.
Yes.
So, like, what's changed from Insurgency and what's the same?
Well, I think they've kind of broadened what they're trying to do with Day of Infamy. So Insurgency was solely a shooter, but with Day of Infamy you've got kind of extra assets. So you've got artillery, you've got kind of a wider variety of weapons that you can use, and I think it's more fun, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a lot more bolt action stuff, which is pretty crap because I can't shoot properly. So,
but adds an extra challenge though.
Yeah, definitely. The duo, because I can't say it properly anymore.
Oh yeah, the Gewehr.
Yeah, that one. Call of Duty trained me to say it incorrectly because I can't read. So, I just call it the duo. But anyway, that's probably the best rifle because you shoot quickly. It's not just like single shot and reload.
I quite like the submachine guns, because they're quick and you can clear buildings very quickly with them. So I like those.
Using them feels a lot more like Insurgent.
It feels more like Insurgency.
Yeah, and obviously the MP40 is kind of a slower shooting submachine gun than the Tommy gun.
Yeah.
But
with the Thompson, you feel like you've got some severe firepower because you just go in, it's like spraying.
Yeah, it actually does feel more powerful, which is quite impressive, and obviously it is more powerful, but
it lacks in range.
It lacks in range, but it does actually feel more powerful than the MP40, which they're probably the two closest comparisons you can make.
Yeah, I think all the weapons that have a sort of realistic feel, realistic sort of kick to them. If you're walking around with a machine gun, the recoil on that thing is insane.
Especially the MG42.
Yeah, God. If you're not deployed with that, then
you're looking at the sky.
Yeah, you can be like a machine gun lumberjack.
A lumberjack who splits trees upwards.
Yeah, straight down the middle.
Yeah. I have weird thoughts about Day of Infamy. I mean, I don't dislike it. But yeah, there's just a few things that, sure, maybe it's because it's in early access, so it's not actually fully done, so it might be bug stuff, but
yeah, there are a decent amount of creases that need to be ironed out.
Yeah,
I keep getting kicked from BattlEye.
Yeah, exactly, BattlEye, but BattlEye is a weird beast.
It is.
It's a very weird beast.
Just use VAC. It's so much simpler.
True. VAC seems to just work.
Yeah, and BattlEye is very annoying if you keep getting kicked because you know you're not hacking, but BattlEye thinks that you are, and it's just like, please stop.
Yeah, but it works on armor fine, for example, and
but people have had the same sort of problems on armor that they've been having with Day of Infamy with BattlEye.
Yeah,
so it's like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. They do need to kind of sort out the detection, a little bit,
and I think the AI needs a bit of an improvement as well. It is a bit special.
It's worse than Insurgency.
It is, yeah.
And Insurgency's AI has come a long way.
Exactly. I mean, especially if you're playing as a commander and you've got AI on your side, if you try and call in artillery and say, I need a radio, there'll be 6 guys that have radios on their backs and they'll just sprint straight towards the enemy machine guns. It's like, but I need a radio, and they just don't care. But yeah. I think as well, bayonet combat, it's fun, but you need to stab people 3 or 4 times before they actually die.
Yeah,
so it's a bit annoying.
I understand that because, for example, in Insurgency, it takes 2 hits with a knife to kill.
Yeah, it's because a knife isn't an instant kill weapon. But a bayonet, if that's stuck into you, you're not going to carry on running around, are you?
No, but at the same time, if you stab someone in the head...
Yeah, I think if you take a head or a torso shot, then it should just or, like, stab. It should be fatal.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you might be able to get away with it. But when you're like stabbing someone, you hit them in the chest, and then you hit them in the chest again and again, and then they finally die. It's like, come on.
Yeah. There needs to be an animation with that as well. There needs to be more of a stabbing thing.
That would be cool.
But I think the other problems that Day of Infamy has actually does come from the engine. I think it's just limitations with what they can do in the source engine.
Yeah.
You know, because it's such an old engine, you can't make these kind of massive fields with lots of structures and all this stuff. Because while you know that there are fields that feel like they should be bigger, they're all fenced off at the edges, so you can see a bit further and see there's a house and etc. etc. But it feels very small compared to what it should be.
Yeah,
like the beach assault. While it's awesome and great, and you know, while you're running down the beach getting shelled, you are gonna, you know, shit yourself for lack of better words. But it still feels very small. There's 2 bunkers. Yeah. One of them is basically completely blown up, and the other one isn't, and that's it.
Yeah, that is it. I think the scale could be bumped up, but I think as well there's especially for snipers and machine guns, there's not really maps that are really great for them. Like the sniper, you might be useful on the D-Day map for about 10 seconds until they get close to you and you can't actually like return fire at all. And with the machine gun on that map, you'll just get sniped by an allied sniper 100 meters away lying on sand. So it's there's nothing really ideal for it because all the rest of the maps are all like urban, so you can't really all the points where you would want to deploy a machine gun, the window is blocked up or you can't deploy it there. So it's like especially you can't really use a sniper in an urban combat environment very well.
Yeah, and obviously this is the co-op modes, not the PvP, because we're both terrible at PvP, so we don't play it.
Yeah, we like to make ourselves feel like men when we kill bots.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. We overcompensate all the time. It's amazing. But yeah, it's weird because I have actually jumped into the PvP a bit, and the maps make a lot more sense in PvP. There's if that window wasn't boarded up, obviously they're not the same maps. They're not exactly the same as they are in co-op because that would be dumb.
Yep.
But the points that do have windows that are boarded up that you would want to sit there in PvP, if you did, it would be just unfair because you could have a line of 4 MG42s and just kill everything, and there's no other way to that building except one door. So if you did that, it would be dumb and it would unbalance the game. But in co-op, when you're defending against bots, when you've only got 2 men left, I want to shoot out this window as well as my friend. I don't just want to sit, looking at the stairs. I want to stop the enemies getting in. Yeah. So yeah, that's some little tweaking with the way the maps work.
I think there are some nice features that have been added, obviously that aren't in Insurgency.
Like calling artillery.
Yeah, like the radio. That's quite cool, because a lot of games, just like as a commander, you kind of just go, I want artillery there, and they go, yeah, okay, cool, and they call it in. But actually having to have someone with a radio near you, it makes it more interesting. It makes it more combat-y. If you're a platoon commander, your radio man is always with you because you need him for comms. Comms being the most important thing on a battlefield.
Other than not getting shot.
Yeah, so when the radio man gets hit, you're like, fuck, we are screwed. I need another radio. So it adds that extra bit. And also I think regrouping as well, I quite like that. Withdrawing to a point to get your mates to respawn, I quite like that.
Yeah, I think that the regrouping could, so in terms of the defense side, the regrouping could be done, you need more people on the point, so you need, say, 15-20% of the people that are playing on that point. So obviously then that gets rounded down, so if you have 4 people, 15% would be 1, but if you had 6 people, I don't know what 15% of that is, but it's like, what, 2, 3? If it would be 2.9 obviously you can't have 2.9 people, otherwise you'd have to have 3, to actually make it work. But at that point, it'd be rounded down.
I think it'd be good if you went back and had to use a radio to get reinforcements.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Or if you had a signaller, you could call in reinforcements from him. That would be.
Or if
cool.
there was a table with a radio on it.
Sort of Rising Storm type thing. That would be cool.
Red Orchestra. Rising Storm, Red Orchestra both have that.
I like that because they've kind of incorporated you need to use a radio to get the support, but you've got a mobile radio, which is.
Yeah, I think that's if they did add the tabled radio like in Red Orchestra, then I think it would be Red Orchestra is a much slower game, so it makes a lot more sense because you can sit back for 10 minutes and let your men defend. Where in Insurgency, if you sit back for 10 minutes, then everybody's dead and you're the only person left.
Exactly.
So you need to be in combat while you're radioing.
What I think would be quite cool is if they did have like big radios, you might be able to call in like a more advanced like fire support. So like obviously with like a platoon level radio, then calling in mortars is great. But if you had like access to like a static massive radio, you might be able to call in maybe like naval bombardment. That would be quite cool if you got to use that once during a game. You've got a naval bombardment, or you've got like a bombing run. That would be quite cool. Just little potential things out there.
Yeah, plane bombing runs would be all right. I mean, the amount you can do from World War II is very limited.
Yeah.
It was, I think, only the Americans that had missiles, and even then they had like a boat that could missile twice, and that was it, sort of thing. So there wasn't really a lot. And bombing runs, maybe some of the maps, but I think the map size limits that. So I think they need bigger maps to actually have that stuff.
But the things that they had, like recon planes in Red Orchestra, those things were quite cool, quite useful to have. Yeah.
Maybe a recon plane that, I mean, it abstracts it a bit from real life, but a recon plane that shows enemy spawns.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
So okay, for the next half a minute or next minute or whatever, enemies are going to spawn only here, so you can set up something around that.
Yeah.
And that's going on to another thing. Enemy spawns need to be changed again. Mm-hmm. They only spawn in the same like 2 locations.
Yeah.
And then come out of the same 2 places.
I was playing on one of the maps. I think it's like an urban map. I can't remember what it's called. But I was essentially had like an STG as German, and I was literally aiming into a square because they'd all spawn at once, and I just gunned them all down with an assault rifle.
Yeah.
And it's like 20 kills at once.
Yeah.
So it's like, and they did it about 4 or 5 times before I got bored. I was like, no, I'm just going to withdraw because this sucks.
Yeah, and in that same match, I think I was in that one as well. I was just sitting in a window looking at where all the enemies came out, and for about 10 minutes didn't move, and no enemies came out of anywhere else.
Yeah.
There was about, I would say, 7 or 8 other alleyways, doors, windows that enemies could have come out of. In fact, there was probably about 15 if you include windows.
Yeah.
There's that needs to be tweaked, but again,
I think what would be cool as well, if you had, because I know that they are small maps, they're designed for 8 people, but it'd be nice to see if they did something similar to Red Orchestra, where you could have a few different squads. If you had like maybe 3 squads, in co-op, say you had 3 squads with a commander, and your commander gets to call in artillery, and then you get your other squad commanders that can get their orders from him. I think that would make it quite dynamic and quite interesting, especially if you could spawn like with your squad. The whole command and control element makes it quite interesting.
I think probably just having 2 squads and then a commander would be the maximum. So maybe 2 squads of 6 and then the commander. So that would be 13 people.
And his radio man. Happy days.
Okay, yeah, 14 people.
Yeah.
That would be all right. But then obviously you need people that would communicate. And how many people have communicated in Red Orchestra? I mean, not Red Orchestra. Dave Infamy.
Yeah. Especially on Dave Infamy, you're like, okay, guys, someone please take a radio. When you're an officer and no one takes a radio, it's like, please, you ask them to take radios, and everyone just assumes that someone else will do it, and then you end up without a radio. It's like, well, what am I going to do now?
Yeah, the crowd effect is real.
Yeah, it is. It'd be good if there was a radio man class.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, I think some of the classes do automatically have radio packs.
Yeah, support
just as
does.
default.
Support.
Yeah. I think that might need to be labelled.
Yeah, Radio Man.
But obviously, we've droned on about, this thing could be improved, this thing could be improved, and blah blah blah. But I don't know about you, but I do really like the game. I think
like it a lot, especially like the reloading thing. If you reload if you do a dry reload, it takes longer. I quite like.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah. You did notice that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, my god, that's cool.
The animations are completely different as well, because I mean, it happens to an extent in Insurgency as well. If you dry reload, so reload without any bullets in your mag, then you obviously have to pull the hammer back, or the bolt back, or whatever it is. When you then do put the mag into the gun, so Insurgency does that in about a second, like not even a second. It's barely anything, and sure, that's fine, or you just thumb the slide back forward, and that's it with a pistol. But in Day of Infamy, it's a proper like, okay, I need to do this now, right? I'm set up. Okay, now I can shoot.
It rewards you for being tactical.
Yeah, I mean, I think magazines are actually kept, so if you have half rounds left, you do then keep a mag with half rounds.
Yeah, they are.
Which, sure, mag with half rounds you don't want, but it gives you, instead of 10 rounds, it gives you 5 rounds that you can use, or whatever. I don't know how many bullets an MP40 has, or Tommy gun has, but Tommy gun, they're not really Tommy guns, but I just want to call them a Tommy gun.
You get loads of angry people going, it's not a Tommy gun, in the comments.
Yeah, but it technically is, because the Tommy gun is the same gun. It's just the films put the grip and the round drum mag on it, and that's it. Like that's the difference. It has the foregrip and the drum mag, and it's still the same gun. It's still the M1. I don't know what it's called anymore. What is it called?
Thompson.
Yeah, that one. That one. Yeah, but anyway, so and just the overall like weapon feel. I know we mentioned this at the beginning, but just from firing a pistol to firing, a bazooka, whatever they're called. I can't remember the names of things we're talking about. But yeah, firing the rocket launchers to firing a pistol, they all feel good, and they all give what I would expect of a gun. Even to the point where I would say armor doesn't do that.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. I think with armor, you can feel like there is a disconnect. Like if you when you're looking down the sights of a real weapon, you feel the weight of it. Trying to keep it on target is hard enough, and then when you pull the trigger, the recoil, you completely lose what you're aiming at. But like I haven't really ever found a game which like kind of recreates the weight of the weapon.
Yeah, and especially World War II. Like modern weapons, sure, they do fancy things with recoil reduction. The biggest one being the Chris Vector.
Yeah.
That thing just doesn't do anything because of the technology behind it. But World War II weapons were just massive poles with a thing in it that hits a bullet that explodes.
And a bolt action rifle with 303 is going to make a hell of a recoil compared to a modern assault rifle. Yeah,
exactly. Even a modern, the equivalent of a bolt action rifle, which would just be a semi-auto rifle,
Yeah.
It's I think New World Interactive really nailed the feel of firing the guns.
Yeah.
And I've never fired a gun in real life. I fired air rifles, and armor feels like firing air rifles, and Insurgency doesn't.
I think it's you have to have a combination of a good like hearty sound, and you've got to combine it with like a realistic, weighty looking thing. I think the one thing that could be improved with Day of Infamy is like machine guns. There's no way, like firing from the hip, you would not be able to swing that thing around that quickly. So I think if they just kind of decrease the amount of sensitivity on it a bit, and the kick on it as well, the kick is good enough, but if you're like swinging it around mad, I think that could be improved a little bit. But that's my only little niggling thing, really.
Yeah, there's just little things, but at the same time, it's like, sure, you wouldn't be able to do that, but in a game, would you want to lumber this thing around? Like, would you genuinely want to lumber it around in a game?
Well, I know I quite like realism, but realism doesn't always equal fun.
No, exactly, and I think that I think in terms of the weapon handling and the way you move with them, and how you deploy them and reloading and that stuff, I don't think much needs to be changed.
Yeah, no, I think the weapons, they seem fine. Apart from obviously flamethrower.
We won't go on about the flamethrower because it's rubbish.
Yeah.
And the flamethrower is going to die, I hope, because it's rubbish.
Hopefully, yeah. God.
When I first jumped into Day of Infamy from Insurgency, I was expecting basically Insurgency in World War II, even though... because there was a mod, obviously, for Insurgency before, and that was very different as well.
Yeah, it was.
And I believe New World Interactive might have hired the mod makers, or like at least a few of them. So, by what I've understood, it's still the actual guys who made the mod working on it, or at least one or two of them. And the mod still changed up game modes a little bit, but it didn't do it massively. It was still just... it was fundamentally Insurgency in World War II.
Yeah.
But then when I dived into Day of Infamy and saw, what they had actually changed, I was like, "Well, this is a very, very different game with similar feeling movement," and I think that's quite impressive considering it's basically the same game.
Yeah.
It feels very different, but at the same time doesn't. It's very familiar, and that's quite impressive.
So yeah, good game.
Yeah, definitely. So it's obviously in early access, but it's in a good enough state to buy right now. I think there just needs to be a few more maps and
a few tweaks.
Yeah, a few tweaks and stuff like that. But it's in a good enough state. It's stable enough online that you don't really notice that many problems. It's basically in a similar state to Insurgency as it is as Insurgency is online. Yeah, I don't know. Any last thoughts?
I'm just looking forward to see what they come up with next. Really, looking forward to Sandstorm as well.
Yeah. Sandstorm being the Unreal Engine, Unreal 4 engine, Unreal Engine 4. I never know how to say it.
I don't know.
Unreal Engine 4. Yeah, it's basically just Insurgency in Unreal Engine 4, so it's going to be changed up a bit and hopefully prettier, because Source engines look very dated, but what can you do? They still work, so it doesn't really matter. And they run on potatoes, so that's good.
Yeah. My laptop can handle it, so it must be doing all right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's about it, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, thanks for listening. Thanks for reading. I can't outro for saving my life.
See you on the next one.
See you on the flippity flop.